All right, welcome back, everybody. What I'm going to do is I am going to finish up the last 3 stages of this Jaguar series. So just as a little bit of a heads up, it might be a little bit of a long video. I don't actually know how long the last few races are, but we'll see. If you notice, I did the drag race before we came on. I was actually worried it might take me a few attempts. Thankfully, it didn't. I actually did it on the first attempt, but I was worried. I don't actually know what's coming up next. I guess I could have looked on, Real Racing 3 Wiki or something like that and seen what we have. I'm dealing, let's see, I think it's the same set of upgrades. Oh no, actually this isn't the same set of upgrades I had last time. Last time I just had the first 7 upgrades. So I added on the gold upgrades and then the subsequent race dollar upgrades after that. I don't even remember how many gold it was. I knew I was getting the car, so I just went ahead and went with it. So this has, what would it be, 21 upgrades. And you can actually do it with 20. You can complete this series with 20 upgrades. But I guess the only reason you would want to do that is if you're just really short on race dollars. I'll have to look at it. Let me when this race is over, I'll pull it up. So 307, that's the number. We'll try to win this by about 300 yards. So just keep it really slow here. And I apologize, I have the screen tilt set, so I'll go ahead and change that. You guys are probably getting a headache or something. Alright, so here's our nice little chase car. Change the camera angle real quick just so I can see how many yards behind I am. What was it? 300 or something? Okay. I don't want to win these by much because there's probably another drag race or a speed snap or something like that, a speed record in one of these last tiers. And if I don't keep them kind of slow, then you may have to sit through watching me go through a bunch of ads. Now let me see, what did I have here? Somewhere back here, yep, right there. I actually hit it right the first time. The speed record at Mount Panorama. That is the only race in this series that I haven't been able to complete with service in the red. And I may have actually been able to do that one with service in the red had I waited on the 7 race dollar upgrades to go ahead and kick in. But it didn't matter. I just went ahead and serviced the car and ran that. So that may be the only race where there's some difficulty that you can't get through it. Okay, Monza, 4 laps. Very fun track at Monza. I comment on it quite a bit. I feel like there was a race earlier in this series at Monza where I was offering some commentary on this, but I don't remember. That line that I just took is a pretty standard line that I take at Monza with pretty much all cars, because it doesn't count as being off track. I really didn't want to do that. I don't actually like wrecking people. Sometimes it is almost unavoidable just because of how these cars, how the robot cars drive. You know, you try not to, and you just end up doing it anyway because they turn right over into you, and there's just nothing you can do. This is actually quite a fun little car. So obviously, like I said, I'm going to complete this one. I may or may not do a second video this evening with you know, just some sort of random gameplay for the bonus series that this one's in, and then the other low-level bonus series. But I'll have to see. I don't know if I want to do that. I may not have time to do that. I mean, I know I do sort of want to do it, but I may not have time. You know, one thing about this game, it is fun. I really do like how many tracks they have. You know, obviously, once you've been playing for a while, I don't know, I guess I've been playing for 18 months or so, a lot of the tracks do get tedious. Maybe not tedious, but they just, you know, it's just the same track. And so, same track, same events, but I guess there's only so much they can do. In all reality, they probably don't really make their money off of people who get into the late stages of the game. You know, I don't even know what level I am, 275 or something like that. I'm coming up on 300. I must say I've actually slowed down how fast I level up between you know, gold from race teams and the elite bonus that they came out with that doubles the amount of gold you get from daily bonuses. I'm to the point now where I can get Group B in the time trial tournament, and because there's only so many cars that they use, so it has sort of cycled around to where, you know, most of the top cars I already have fully upgraded, or, you know, at least a comparable car, enough to get B anyway. Because I know with the I mean, the two sets of prototype cars, I don't have all those upgraded. What is it? The 2014, you know, I only have the Porsche fully upgraded out of those. I don't have the Toyota or the Audi fully upgraded because they're just so expensive. You know, 1,800 gold or something each. I guess I would fully upgrade it if I had to, but normally they put all those cars out together, and so, you know, I can do a serviceable job running with the Porsche, even though, you know, obviously the Toyota's faster. I may have to do a little bit more work to cut enough time off, but you know, I can certainly do it. And so I'm 2,600 yards ahead. That's about a mile and a half ahead. So you get to see me sit at the finish line for a few minutes, or a minute or something like that, while they catch up to me. And come over here into the sunshine, where you can see here. I guess I forgot that the start and finish line here is in the sunshine. You obviously, let me back up here. You obviously see the logo there on the back of the car that I put on. That's the Real Racing Chat Lounge logo, and I guess I better start. I don't normally. Oh, that was fun. You know, there was one update that they did. It's the one where they released the McLaren cars, where the bots were just really funny, really aggressive, and if you knew what line they ran, you could actually park your car at basically park it at the finish line, and you know, they wouldn't move. They'd ram you across the finish line, which on some tracks is really funny. If you can do it at Daytona, it's or Indianapolis, it's quite hysterical, because there's absolutely no slowing down with that. Now they'll, you know, slow down or get out of the way, or whatever. Brands Hatch head to head. Let's see. Oh, I didn't get over fast enough. I was thinking about spinning him out. It doesn't matter. I'll pass him right here. Oh, anyway, the logo there. That's the Real Racing Chat Lounge logo from Facebook group. You make it with all. That's all just basic vinyls, so I didn't have to pay anything to get that. There's a video somewhere online. It's actually Real Racing Guru did it. You know, it's because it's his group. You know, pretty strongly anti-hacker. Which, I mean, I guess most groups are, if we're being honest. You know, nobody wants just, you know, blatant cheats and stuff like that in the game. This should actually be a very short endurance race, 2.4. I don't actually know how many cars I have to pass. I may just try to pass these first 3 and not pass anymore, because you can probably do that in 90 seconds as fast as you're able to drive on this track. Either way, I'm going to be right behind this car, so I'm doing this because I know basically I'm going to stop right when I, you know, get to the line for whatever it was, 2.3, 2.4 miles, and so I don't want to have a bunch of extra time on the clock that I have to kill. So And this is actually going to be perfect, because from here I can actually just coast it down the hill. Cup at Nürburgring, no good. It's during the day. I really didn't want to run at night. Ooh, the agent's free. It's that's quite annoying that she wasn't free this morning. I actually had to pay the gold to do. I got on the brakes way too late there. I actually had to pay the 1 gold to do the 60% fame bonus for today. I think this is actually the first time in this update, or not this update, but this month, that I've been able to actually use that on a 10-lap race. I think one of the days I may have used it on a Ferrari race. I think I went 75 miles. I had intended to do 100, but it just got, I think I just had too much going on, and it just got really boring to run. I really don't run that race much anymore. I don't run a 10-lapper much anymore. But I think for like the 20 and 25 and 30% bonus, I actually ran that on the 1-lap race. In the Ferrari Formula 1 car, the head-to-head. That's actually a really good race to run. 3 minutes or thereabouts. Pays 5,200 fame or something like that. There's actually a very good head-to-head in this series. It's back in, I don't know, tier 4, tier 5, something like that. Pays 4,500. Obviously, tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. here on the East Coast, there is a race team event. It's a distance event in this car. So I'm sure come the end, you'll see some of the top teams have guys that went for just incredibly long distances. There's probably some guys they've probably started already. Dirty little secret of race team events. I'm sure somebody won't like it that I say this on a video, but whatever. As long as you finish the race after the event begins, it counts. You don't actually have to start the race after the event begins. You just have to finish. So in this one, this car has a race, the endurance race at the Porsche test track. The short, the one where you can run hundreds of miles infinitely. So I'm sure guys have already started, and they'll stage up 1,000 kilometers or something and just have it hit minutes after the event begins, and then they'll just commence on their grind and, you know, run it for 10, 12, 15 hours or something like that. You know, I really don't criticize guys who do that, because I have done some tremendous events like that myself. A week or so ago, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, I did the I think it was autocross wins. I did autocross wins and won, I think I did 700 races or something like that. I won. So I mean, it was probably, I probably played for 10 hours or something like that, and that got me into the top 1,000, which paid 300 gold. So it was fun. I didn't mind doing that. It's kind of something I wanted to do. I wanted to do one of those solo grinder events. And there was some other event where I just sort of had the house to myself for a weekend, and I don't guess I wanted to do anything else or whatever, and so I ran for, you know, 16 or 17 hours. It was something crazy. It was one of those distance events where there was that glitch at Mount Panorama that, as far as I know, has actually been fixed. But it was a glitch that allowed you to run, it scored 4 miles every 20 seconds, just because of how the glitch worked with Panorama. So, you know, I sat there for 10 or 12 hours, just, or 13, or ever how many hours I ran, just hitting the restart button every, you know, 20 or 25 seconds. Sorry about that. Had to have a little bit of a drink there. Yeah, I normally wouldn't do this, but I am, like I say, I'm worried there's going to be a drag race or something in the final stage that, if I actually just win this race, it'll be not necessarily an unbeatable goal, but one that I'll have to sit there and just do a bunch of bot control on to try to actually be able to beat it. So while I'm here, actually, as far as I remember, it's the body upgrade. You don't actually have to do the third upgrade to the body. You can just do the gold, and you can skip the race dollars. Yeah, and so you just saw there's a speed snap. I didn't actually catch where it was. I'll see in just a second here. Okay, Hockenheim. I don't actually remember where it is at Hockenheim. Oh yeah, that's right. It's right in the middle of that big, long back straightaway thing. Alright, let's see if I can get this first go. Obviously, at this point, I'm not worried about slowing anything down because as long as I can make decent runs, I can beat anything. Even the autocross, that's the second event here. You know, this should be, easily beatable, even with the service in the red. This is an interesting. I always find it interesting coming to this track because this one, this bridge version, it doesn't exist anymore. They couldn't run this version if they wanted. I think all this pavement over here has been pretty much torn up, and so it's just the new section. So this is actually, a non-existent racetrack. I think this may be the only like track variant on the game that doesn't really exist anymore. I don't think any of the other racetracks have had alterations that that they haven't added to the game. And 6 laps at Laguna Seca. And what are we at? About 25, 26 minutes here. This is obviously going to add about another 10 to it. Although, again, obviously last stage, I don't have to sit here and wait. This is an interesting track. It's among the many tracks on the game that has been modified over the years. This section of track that we're on right now, it didn't used to exist. Originally, right there at the start of the hairpin, it's actually called the Andretti hairpin. Obviously named after the Andretti family. It used to continue straight, and then actually that little piece of road that you saw back there would it just led out there, and I'm not sure why they. Well, I mean, I guess it had to do with safety, because I think they were saying that. I'll point it out when we get around here. The start point on this track is one of the worst. It's probably the worst on the game, because you're back on the back side of this corner, and it just makes it really, really difficult. So in the old track setup, you basically went from right there, coming out of that corner, and then you came straight up the hill, and then right here you just continued straight on, sort of up onto that hill where it's cut out, and then we come around here, and then it came back out right there on that section of road that you saw to the right. So basically, with that old setup, there were some turns, or curves, really, and so you didn't have to get on the brakes from all the way from the final turn until the turn down into the corkscrew there. So I guess it just got to the point that cars were getting so fast and stuff like that that it just wasn't safe. And so that's where you got the the infield section, the hairpin, and all the runoffs and everything. Much like Silverstone has been tremendously modified over the years. Hockenheim has been modified over the years. I remember when I first started watching Formula One back in the early 90s. It was actually quite convenient. It was on ESPN at the time. They always had the coverage. So, you know, basically I would wake up on a Sunday morning and just turn on ESPN for the Formula One race. But anyway, you know, I remember them racing at Hockenheim on those huge, very, very long straightaways that just, you know, you would turn off the start-finish straight. You know, you take that right-hander, and then it had to have been a half-mile long straightaway, and then it went down into a chicane, and then probably another half-mile long, and then you had sort of this weird like horseshoe turn up there at the middle. It was see, I'm trying to think how to describe it. If you haven't actually seen it, you may have seen it. It was actually much like this the Andretti hairpin here. The angle was a little different, and it was a little wider, and then it had this silly chicane in the turn, if I'm remembering right. So it was very, very weird. And then, you know, you came screaming down another straightaway that was a half-mile long, and then into another chicane, and another half-mile long straightaway, and then you took the right-hander into the stadium section where, you know, where we actually run now. Obviously, I've spoken videos about Monza being modified. Silverstone has had a lot of modifications. I sort of mentioned that. You know, you have the bridge track that we run, but well, I didn't want to do that. The bridge track that we run, but that's sort of the second or third modification to the original one. And now you have the one that they run now. Spa has been modified a couple times over the years. Down in, I don't remember what year it was. Well, I guess it was 94, because it was the year that Senna was killed. They went to Spa, and they had like a bus stop chicane down in the middle of Eau Rouge, which I don't. I remember watching that race. I don't actually remember that part of it. I kind of looked that back up about some of the modifications they made to the track. And I don't think at the time, I mean, I guess I was 90. That point in time in 94, I would have been 11. So yeah, I'm reasonably young, I guess. Older than some, younger than some, I guess. But anyway, I don't actually remember seeing that. Thinking about it now, it's just really weird. But they didn't really know what to do after Senna was killed. So 5,400 fame, that's decent. Should be a good race team event tomorrow. That's actually faster than I thought. How fast was it? 1:11, huh? Okay, it's pretty fast. I know Laguna Seca is a pretty short track. It's 2.5 miles or something like that. They added a good bit of distance when they did that new infield section. Okay, 55 gold, I will take that and a new car. So there we go. Let me just go real quick and I'll check out in here, see what the first tier looks like. I'm not actually going to run these races, but just to see. Yeah, pushing the car beyond what we thought was possible, obviously. We have 18 tiers. That's actually not bad. It's far better than 22. So we have a hunter event. Oh yeah, that's the one that the guy on the chat lounge was complaining about. Let me actually click on this and see if it comes up. Okay, so that's actually a pretty reasonable. I'm just going to quit. I'm not actually going to run it. That was a reasonable number. 500 and some odd yards. I have no idea who that guy is with the goat. Obviously he wasn't a friend of mine. The IRA guy there, he's on my friends list on my team. Somebody on the chat lounge got a distance of 2,500 yards or something like that to beat. If you see that, look, the guy didn't cheat. He basically got bored, got in front of the chaser car, and just pushed it about halfway back around the track. So, you know, don't come on Facebook or Twitter or whatever screaming about how somebody's a cheat. They're not a cheat. They just got bored, is the best way to say it. Okay, so anyway, yeah, series is over. I'm not really going to give it any trade secrets here away. Let's find it. Where is it? You know, anybody with good, you know, intelligence can figure this one out. Obviously, that race right there, 5-3 at Indy Speedway. It's 5 laps. Yeah, pretty much. That's going to be the race to run for the team event. And then it's just a matter of seeing how long you can endure. So, hey, thanks for hanging out this long. See you again on another video soon. Have a good one.